Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, which is going to hopefully give you a really good introduction to the BSc Honours in Veterinary Nursing, jointly delivered by Middlesex University and the College of Animal Welfare. My name is Defries and I'm the programme leader. I'm a veterinary nurse, started my training in the late 90s and qualified as a veterinary nurse about 23 years ago. And I still nurse part-time as well as teaching on the programme.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'll introduce myself. My name is Kathryn. I'm the Deputy Programme Leader here in Middlesex. So I help Claire do everything to do with, I suppose, the operation of the course. I'm also a veterinary nurse. I qualified in 2012 in Ireland, and I'm based in Ireland currently. I work from home. I have my postgrad in veterinary business, and like Claire, I locum on and off as well in my spare time when I can to get back into practice too.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm the Student Engagement Officer for the college, and I'm a registered vet nurse as well, and I love nursing. So I graduated in 2012, just like Kathryn, but in the UK at the Royal Veterinary College, and I have a certificate in exotic animal nursing, and I'm really excited that you're here, and I can't wait to tell you all about the programme with Claire and Kathryn.
Thank you both. So we should probably say, actually, we're going to give you what we hope is a really decent introduction to our programme, and then there'll be opportunities at the end to ask any questions. So we'll start with the aims of our programme. We have a few. We want to equip our graduates to be eligible to register, obviously, as registered veterinary nursings. We do have accreditation from the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. We're really excited because we just revalidated our programme, which is normal. It's part of a normal cycle that we all go through every 5 or 6 years. And we've made some quite big changes that future-proofs the programme and makes our veterinary nurses quite cutting edge, we think. So we are accredited by the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. We're also accredited by VetSkill. So all of our graduates, once they graduate, are eligible to be registered as SQPs, which you can see is a companion animal suitably qualified person, bit of a mouthful, and it's essentially a prescribing qualification. So it's not automatic. You are eligible, but you have to register. And once you've registered, you can prescribe certain classes of medication. So that's a unique part of our programme that was there before, actually, for the previous 5 or 6 years or so. Of course, we want our graduates to be safe and more than competent and reflective veterinary nurses with those graduate skills. And going with that, we want our graduates to be critically thinking individuals. So use evidence, provide holistic care to their patients. So we really encourage our students through our programme to foster analytical problem-solving approaches using the evidence base. What we do have at Middlesex is a really excellent library. All of our resources are digitised. We sign up to a scheme called Core Text, which means for every module you study, your module leader chooses a core text for you. Core Text is KORTEXT. But each module leader will choose a textbook that they really want you to have, and you get to keep that textbook for life. So that's a pretty amazing scheme. We also have a liaison librarian, subject expert librarian, who helps our students with all sorts of things, whether it's a small assignment or a project. We want our veterinary nurses to be autonomous and to be able to make complex decisions, but also work as part of a team. And if you've had an interview with us, you might start realizing why we've asked you some of the questions we've asked you. We want to encourage our students to engage with lifelong learning, develop skills that they can take into the industry and beyond if you want to diversify at a later point. And we want to inspire our graduates to enhance the profession as a whole. So I think we have 3, forgive me if I'm wrong, you'll correct me, colleagues, but we have 3 nurses on our team who are graduates of this programme. So teaching is one area that you can go into, but also research, leadership roles, and also sort of interprofessional projects, particularly as we sit within the School of Health and Education at Middlesex University. So the programme is jointly delivered by the College of Animal Welfare and Middlesex University. So another unique aspect of our programme is that we deliver it at multiple sites. So our Hendon campus is in London, in North London, a busy, vibrant campus with lots to do. But we also have delivery sites at Huntingdon, which is in Cambridgeshire, and Leeds, very close to Leeds city centre. And Jess is probably best placed to tell you about Leeds, because that's her area.
Yeah, so the campus at Leeds, it's very close to the city centre, but it's also very close to the White Rose shopping centre. So it's like 10 minutes away. It's great. So you've got that sort of vibrant sort of community there. You can go out with your friends after uni and do whatever you want to do there. There's lots of like restaurants and of course shopping if you all like shopping, like I do. Yeah, it's really good there. The campus is really good. It's a really supportive team. I really like the Leeds campus. It's great. It might not be as big as the Hendon one, but it's still got everything that you need to have a good time at university, essentially, your academic and the other side of that as well. So I'll hand back to Claire.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, because I think the whole university experience is important as well as the academic. So also at each of our sites, we have clinical skills facilities. The video that we showed at the start of this webinar shows our Hendon facilities. At Hendon, there's another site. We're based at StoneX Stadium, so if there's any rugby fans with us, then you'll know that's the home of the Saracens rugby team. We don't get to watch free rugby matches, but we do have excellent facilities at StoneX. There's us and there's nursing and midwifery are there too. So we have very similar facilities also at Leeds and Huntingdon with things like microscopes, mannequins, surgical instruments, and a variety of equipment, anaesthetic machines, x-ray machines, so that you can practice your clinical skills. You can be competent at those clinical skills before you put them into practice in placement. So in terms of entry requirements, the entry requirements can be found on our websites, but we've done a little summary here for you. The minimum requirement in terms of UCAS tariff points is 112. There's a variety of ways you can get to that 112. And we do always say if you don't quite meet that, or your predicted grades and you're not sure, then just apply. But we'll come on to that in a minute. So you can get your 112 UCAS points via A levels, via various level 3 diplomas, but you must also have 5 GCSEs, grade C or 4 and above, and that should include English, maths and science. Now, there are equivalents, so don't think, oh no, I haven't got the GCSEs, because you might have a functional skill at level 2 and that's an equivalent, or you may be a mature student and you've got other sort of experience that might mean you can still apply to our programme. But that's our standard entry requirements. So if you're doing A levels, that's a minimum of a BBC, and we'd like a C in science included in those grades. And if you're doing an access to HE diploma, we want an overall pass with 45 credits at level 3, which should be merit or higher ideally. A lot of our applicants do BTECs, level 3 extended diplomas, often in animal management or similar subjects. So the minimum there is a DMM. It might be science, it might be animal management, but any related subject. And then there's also combinations. So we appreciate some of you might be doing combinations of qualifications. So we can look at how that equates to in terms of UCAS tariff points, and you can look as well online. There's a UCAS tariff point calculator. And if you're not sure, like I say, go ahead and apply or contact us and we'll set up a video call to give you some information, advice and guidance.
I will just go through, I suppose, the process of applying. So I know some of you I might have met in the interview process. So when we have an interview, I would have recommended for you to come along and kind of get some information here this evening just about, I suppose, the course in general, or if you've thought of any questions after the interview that you never thought of, I suppose, during it. This is a good opportunity to do that. So those of you who have applied, obviously you've gone through the interview already. Those of you who are in the process of applying or maybe haven't applied yet and are thinking about it, there will be a QR code in the next few slides down. But the kind of process, I suppose, of the application is once you apply, you will be able to book on for an interview and you can choose the time and the date that would suit yourself. Or interviews tend to be probably around half an hour, depending on, I suppose, if you've got lots of questions or if we get into a conversation maybe, but they're around half an hour. Our criteria, I suppose, for work experience, we do find that we would love or I suppose our students to have work experience in a veterinary practice, but that's not always the case. Sometimes I know a couple of students have been finding difficulties if they're underage or maybe that they can't get into a practice. So this year we decided to kind of change our criteria a little bit and we're welcoming students who have got experience in any animal related environment or industry. So 2 weeks of work experience, whether it's maybe a charity or a rescue centre or a practice, wherever you got your experience, we're welcoming all candidates. We do obviously still advise if you can get into a practice that is really beneficial because I suppose you are seeing how a practice runs and the kind of role of the nurse in a practice. But we do accept any kind of work experience in an animal related industry. You'll be invited for interview once you book on for your time slot. That's an online interview that you'll meet either myself or Claire. We'll go through a couple of questions, and prior to that interview, you will be sent the interview questions. So it gives you a bit of time to prepare, maybe look up some websites or information. The RCVS website is kind of a website we always refer back to, and that's the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons website that gives you the insight, I suppose, into what a nurse can do, the role of the nurse, and kind of the legislation surrounding our role in the job itself. So we always kind of tell people have a look at that and kind of see what nurses are allowed to do and what we do in practice. So go through your questions that you're given prior to the interview and then come along and we'll go through those questions. We can have some conversations and it gives you the opportunity to ask questions then about the course, the modules, the campus, even the career in general, and kind of get our opinion on it too. And I suppose that's the benefit of, having nurses teach you on the course as well, is that the majority of us have all been in practice and we've been where you've been, so it gives you the opportunity to ask the questions maybe and get the kind of personal view or opinion of being in practice and things like that. So then after your interview we would send you potentially a conditional offer, and that's based on you sending in your work experience reference. So we always ask for a reference from work experience, and that is important, that wherever you've got that work experience are able to provide you with that reference that we can see. You can email that reference in or you can upload it as well. So when you're offered a conditional offer, there'll be an option of you uploading your reference to a link in that email. And that's important for us to be able to kind of hold I suppose, your profile active. So you'll be sent the offer based on kind of your results of maybe when you're getting your A-level results next year, and then your reference as well. So we always tell students just to keep an eye on their emails, that the communication comes in from Middlesex after that. So the process itself is quite easy and quite straightforward, and I suppose I have the advantage of being able to do it all online now. So, it makes it accessible for everyone around the country or other countries internationally to be able to do their interview. So if you think of any questions, maybe in the meantime, between here and the end, or maybe all along after the interview, you've thought of questions you want to ask us tonight, we'd be more than happy to be able to answer them as well after that. Or equally, if anyone has any questions about the interview or maybe wants to have a conversation prior to the interview, we can facilitate that as well.
And I
Thank
think
you. I'll
that's
hand
really
back to Jess.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Just to say that Claire and Kathryn are super supportive and really, really lovely. And if you come to your interview, I know a lot of students getting a bit nervous about the interview stage. Please don't be. We can't wait to meet you, learn about you, see what experience you've got and have that chat with you. So don't worry about your interview. That's why we give you the questions before. You can prepare and please don't worry about that stage. So I just thought I'd say that. So I'll hand back to Claire. Thank
Yeah.
you, Kathryn.
And just to add in as well, if anyone is struggling to find work experience in their area, contact us and we'll help you. We have a team of people who are, have, I suppose, contacts in lots of different areas. And whether it's a practice or a rescue centre, we'd be able to give you advice on maybe how to approach a place to get your work experience as well. Because sometimes that can be overwhelming if you haven't ever, if you need help with your CV, for example, or you need to go in and ask questions about getting placement, there's lots of support here that we can help you with as well. So, don't be worried about trying to source that on your own if you're finding it difficult to.
Thank you, Kathryn. The other thing to mention, I suppose, is the online interview is really accessible. But if you have any special requirements ahead of the interview, then you can contact the admissions team and talk through those. And we know that not everybody wants an online interview. Some people want face-to-face. So we can do face-to-face interviews at our open events at Hendon. We have the facilities to do that. The next one is this Saturday coming. I think it's the 16th. Someone will have to just check the calendar to make sure I'm correct. But I think it's the 16th. So you can actually book an interview on that day if you prefer face-to-face. For Huntingdon and Leeds, it can also be pre-arranged. So yeah, but mostly we do online interviews. So a little bit more about the actual programme. Like many others, ours is a 4-year full-time programme. But we also have there's quite a few unique things about our course, and another one is that we have a foundation year. So if you don't meet the entry requirements, you can apply for the foundation year. If you're not sure how things are going to go with your current qualifications, you could apply for the 4-year programme. You could also apply for the foundation year. Or if you don't quite get the results that you were hoping for, then we will more than likely offer you the opportunity to undertake the foundation year. So it makes the program 5 years because it sort of bolts a level 3 program, a level 3 year on the front of the program to help you sort of upskill and be ready for study at honours level. And the one thing to say actually about the foundation year is it's been very successful since we introduced it a number of years ago, in giving students that sort of step up to honours level study. But at the moment it's only available at our Huntingdon campus. So that's a point to think about as well, because you would have to study that at Huntingdon. It doesn't run at London or Leeds. But whether your entry point is foundation or first year honours, the structure of the programme is 4 modules per year, 4 30-credit modules. So you do 120 credits per year. And generally speaking, the way our learning framework works is 3 days per week on campus plus online. So you will have to do some preparation and some sort of follow-up study. You'll have assessments to work on. You might be preparing for exams, and then there's normally some preparatory work for your lessons. That said, the way our learning framework is structured is designed to fit around the rest of your life. We all have a life outside of veterinary nursing. So you might have caring responsibilities, you might need to work part-time or have other sort of responsibilities that you undertake. So you should be able to fit that around your study. But I think anyone who's a veterinary nurse would agree, whichever route you take to qualifying as a veterinary nurse, it's hard work. The other element, of course, is placement. There is a stipulation for placement set by the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. Most programmes are probably slightly above that, which we are ever so slightly. And this time round, it's come out as a slightly odd number, which troubles me somewhat, but that's what it is. It's 1,983 hours. And that would be if you did, the exact amount of placement that is written into the program. Sometimes people do more, it's absolutely fine. But it equates to 52 weeks of placement in accredited training practices. I think we're going to come on to some more about that shortly. In terms of the way that our program is structured, we have streams. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said we've done a revamp and we're a bit unique. We used to do, like many other programs, sort of very standalone science-based modules, and we're not doing that anymore. It's a spiraled curriculum. So I hope you can see that, but I think we zoom in on the first year very shortly. So we've designed it around sort of streams, if you like. So one of the key things is body systems. So you look at various body systems throughout the program and build on what you've learned before. So when you look at a body system, you look at the normal functions, say the anatomy. We can't completely get away from anatomy, but the anatomy is within this module, and the physiology, so the structure and function of that body system. But you'll also look at diseases and how we nurse them, what diagnostic tests we use, and what drugs we use to treat those diseases. So we'll look at the first year example shortly. So we have body systems. We have a professional development stream. So you always start off looking at the basics in terms of codes of conduct and legislation that relates to veterinary nursing, which is interesting, and sort of the history of veterinary nursing and how it's evolved over the last particularly 50 years, I would say. And then we build on that and start to look at things like ethical frameworks and, the different sort of difficult scenarios you might come across during your career, and various other things until you get to the final year and you eventually do a quality improvement project. And then we have our practical and our clinical skills stream. So a bit like in the video we showed earlier, where we sort of train you in your practical skills to get you ready for placement, and then you sort of go out and then you've got your theory and your practical training, and you get out there and actually put it into practice in a real life veterinary practice. Then we have a few other things dotted around. Obviously there's graduation at the end, which is what we're all aiming for. In the first year, we have a fundamentals module, so just to prepare you for actually getting out there in the workplace. And then you should be able to see, I think in the final year, we have applied emergency and critical care, because that's super, super popular and everybody wants to do it. And we have the contemporary veterinary nursing module. So that includes your prescribing qualification. Having said that, I think a lot of our students don't even realise, but you're working towards that prescribing qualification all the way through your programme. There's little bits of it embedded in all the modules. But in your final year, that's when you sort of do your prescribing exam. And then also whatever is contemporary in terms of issues in the veterinary world at that time. So at the moment, there's things like the bully ban, there's the emergence of bully cats now, I've been reading about lately. And, in 2 years' time, it might be something else. There's an ongoing legislative review that affects the way we work. So whatever is contemporary at the time, you'll have the chance to study that, you'll get your core text, and then of course you'll be assessed on that as well. So I think we're going to look at an example. Yes. So currently our first years, they're looking at body systems. Body systems 1, which is the gastrointestinal system, and integument, which is skin. One of the, I'm sure you'll both agree, the common things that we see in veterinary practice is vomiting, diarrhea, and itchy dogs and cats. Maybe the odd itchy rabbit as well.
Yeah.
Along with the GDVs and other things that come in all
other
the time.
gastric type emergencies. Yeah. Foreign bodies, of course, especially if you have Labradors and things like that. So this module really sort of gets you going with body systems, and these are going to be the common things that you see every day in veterinary practice. So we're in semester 1 at the moment, so our students are currently studying those 2 modules. They then have a couple of exams at the end of this semester, go off on a nice Christmas break, come back for semester 2, and then we have practical, so clinical skills and professional development. So we're going to start looking at those legal frameworks. And then again, the assessment takes place at the end of the semester, although some coursework comes in during the semester. So you might be thinking, well, why are we in 3 days a week? That's a valid question, because we have a third day, which is really aimed at supporting you with your work, preparing for your assessments. We have an academic advising scheme, so that's preparing you not only for your sort of student life and supporting you through that, but preparing you for your future career as well. Which then, it really helps and supports with getting your assessments done. And then the third semester is placement. So the whole program really looks like that, but the placement might be at different times because we can't have 4 cohorts of students all bombarding practices at the same time and vice versa. So it will depend, but that will be essentially how every year is structured. Jess.
I think our program, because we asked what students would like to see when we revalidated, which was when we changed the program. So this has been developed based on students' feedback and what they wanted to see, which I think is really important. And I really feel that this is such a good way to do things for students, and you're going to love clinical skills, and you're going to love going out in placement, and the modules and the theory and that practical is there to help you prepare for that first placement so that you feel supported, you've done all of the theory needed to help you, and we're not just putting you in placement and expecting you to go off and learn. We're helping you before you get there, so I feel like you can feel really supported, you can be really excited about it, and you're going to have all of that knowledge there ready to go. And then when you come back to us for year 2, we're going to help you develop a little bit more and progress on that way towards graduation. And we're here every step of the way for you. And this program's been developed for that, really. So it's really good to share it with you. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Jess. Yeah, and as well as seeking student feedback, we also sought feedback from the industry as well. So the industry is sort of, getting out of our students what they want, and our students are getting out of the practices what they want. And often at the end of the rainbow is a job offer, which is very nice for our students.
Yeah, that's what I say in the interviews too, that like the way we've blended the placement into the course means that you have the option of moving around to maybe, 1 or 2 practices, and that's ultimately building networking to potentially then get a job afterwards. So it's advantageous to the student and the practice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then the other thing you'll do when you're on practice is a little bit of blogging, which is a sort of ungraded assessment, so to help with your development. And then you have a mentor who's trained by us who will assess you in terms of competency. And that again will happen every year, every time you go on placement. And it is really about building on what you learned before. So some first years actually are asking me today, what are we going to be doing on our first placement? Will we be able to give injections? And when I said yes, they looked a bit horrified, but you will be doing things like that. But I think, at the start, there's a lot of handling, restraint, infection controls, and building up your confidence. And then by the end of your final placement, you're looking at, being a fully functioning veterinary nurse, really just having to take your final exams and doing things like anesthesia and more sort of complex procedures. So the College of Animal Welfare have a range of placements. I think we have something like 700 training practices on our books, and years worth of industry networking, as Kathryn was saying. So we do have a range of placements. That's not to say you can just say, I want that one, and necessarily have it for that particular placement, but we have a team and we have a person who is assigned just to our program, who knows our students so well, speaks to you, emails you, organises the placements for you, helps you prepare, does all the sort of legwork for you, and and you'll do this 1,983 over the whole program, and you'll do a block of placement every year. I always say you might end up doing more, and that's fine. It's not a bad thing. The 1,983 is a minimum. And actually, a lot of our students might do some work for their placements as well. Outside of placements, they might be offered paid work. So that's good because it all helps towards your experience and confidence. So I think we haven't really touched on yet, have we, about different routes to training. Of course, we're here to talk about the degree, but there's several routes to training, and you may be aware there's an employed route. But there are benefits in having a degree in veterinary nursing, having advanced skills, thinking about career progression, particularly if you're thinking, oh, I might want to go into research or teaching or industry, pharmaceutical industry, things like that, pet nutrition. There's opportunities for specialisation. I think a few of us have done that. I've worked in a referral hospital at a vet school, and I've also worked in sort of general practice in a management position. And that sort of opens lots of doors for you and gives you lots of interesting experiences. I spent 6 years doing diagnostic imaging only, so that's why I'm afraid of the light now. I only know how to sit in a dark room. So there's things you can specialise in if you really enjoy them, and that's what I enjoyed. So that's what I did for quite a long time. There's a professional recognition of having a degree and being a registered veterinary nurse. You'll have a lot of post-nominals because you'll have a degree and your CSQP and your RVN registered veterinary nurse. So yeah, your post-nominals will be off the sheet of paper that you're signing. It's good for your personal development, increases your confidence, and increases job satisfaction because you're doing the things that you love. There are a number of veterinary nursing degrees. We're not the only one. However, we were the first one. The programme started in partnership with Middlesex back in 1998. It was founded by a registered veterinary nurse who is the principal of the College of Animal Welfare. We're accredited, as we've said, and according to the National Student Survey last year, we were the #1 veterinary nursing degree in the UK, which we're all incredibly proud of. So that was good. Yeah, that's student voice. It's not a ranking system. It's from the students what they said. So it's fantastic. And then the other unique thing that we do, which other institutions do also, but I think we're possibly the trailblazers, is virtual reality. And I think we've got a video we can show you of our virtual reality. It should just magically appear. There we go.
Welcome to the future of veterinary nurse training. Are you ready for veterinary nurse training to be taken to a new dimension? Developed by a dedicated team at the College of Animal Welfare, our new virtual reality technology is ready to change the way we think about learning. Our intention is to use the software to help trainee veterinary nurses create muscle memory when preparing for their OSCEs. We believe this will not only assist in the learning and accessibility of practical skills, but will also help to alleviate exam anxiety. So far, students can practice a range of OSCE tasks in virtual reality in a hyper-realistic virtual clinical environment. This is a first in the veterinary nurse training field, and at the College of Animal Welfare we are so excited about the potential applications of virtual reality technology, even beyond the OSCEs. Virtual reality can be used as a hugely beneficial training tool, providing a way to enhance student engagement with their study, increase their knowledge, boost creativity, and provide an avenue for active and dynamic learning. So, the only question we have left to ask is, are you ready to step into the future of veterinary nurse training and join us?
There we go. Sorry, just had to do a few clicks there. So that is our virtual reality software. And actually, since this video was made, there's been a shed load of updates. So it actually looks even better than that now. There's also an anatomy app. There's an equine app for the equine exams. And we've also introduced a virtual reality assessment into our program, which happens in the first year. So yeah, every week we're using virtual reality in the classroom, which is fantastic. So in the video, it talks about OSCE exams, which you may not be familiar with the term. It's an objective, structured clinical examination. And it's essentially your final examination that gives you your license to practice. So currently all of our final year students are issued with their own virtual reality headset, not to keep, to use for their final year to help them prepare for their exams. So at the moment, their third years, final years are in, and they're having teaching in a clinical skills environment, but they're also utilising the virtual reality at the same time. And then when they go off to placement in January, they've got their headset so they can actually carry on practicing safely in the virtual world, building that muscle memory, as it said in the video, to prepare for their exams. They're in practice as well, so they're kind of fully immersed in every way.
Yeah, I was just going to add in there, I remember studying for my OSCEs and I had to bring everything home from the practice to be able to practice at home, you know, gloves and everything. So at least with this, it's like amazing that it's just hassle-free, bring it home, do it whenever you need to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. When I first put it on, I just couldn't believe how amazing it is, and the fact that you can, you know, set up an anesthetic machine and a circuit in virtual reality is pretty cool. I still don't think I've quite got over that yet. It's amazing.
I think all my animals are pleased because all the dogs I've had over the years, they've had to be bandaged. From when I was practicing, my first textbook was like ripped to shreds by a puppy I had. And then as she grew up, she used to sort of come in and get bandaged and bandaged and bandaged. But of course, you don't have to do that anymore because you can do it safely and also it's fun. But it builds that muscle memory. So that's fully integrated into our program currently. Jess.
Great. So I'm the student engagement officer, as I said at the beginning, so I have a lot to do with the student engagement, student experience. So we just wanted to give you some comments from our students themselves, really, so you can see. I love this little picture here because Nikita, one of our anatomy and physiology lecturers and practical teachers, was doing suturing of bananas with the students, so learning suturing techniques, which is really cool. As a nurse, when you do the history of veterinary nursing, it's great because we're allowed to help with more and more sort of really skilled aspects of the veterinary profession, vet nursing, and suturing is one of those. It's really quite fun. So they were suturing bananas, which is great, and I love that picture. I think it's fantastic. And one of our students was saying they like how the course shows different aspects of veterinary nursing, allows them to have rounded knowledge of the course, in-depth lectures balanced with studies, and we've really sort of understand that, and I would really agree with that. We really do that. And they say that they're prepared for the job role and they network with people within the industry. We have a whole dedicated careers event for you to do that as well. And I really love that. And another student said they really enjoy the practical aspect of the course, especially the chance of gaining valuable experience during placement. They've gained so many new skills and they really help with the theory sessions. So that's really good as well. And then also I always like to highlight how supportive we are of our students. You know, we've all come from different backgrounds, we've got different strengths, you know, and we are super supportive with whatever stage you are at. If you need a bit of extra support, we're here. If you're very independent, that's also fine. And this student was saying that they recently diagnosed with autism, despite always knowing she wanted to work in veterinary. She struggled through school due to being undiagnosed. And while studying at school at core, even before my diagnosis, felt she was treated with grace by lecturers and offered help when needed, and she didn't feel alone. And I really feel we excel in that area. We're just super supportive of everybody, and we want you all to be the best nurses you can be. So please come to us. We'd love to have you, and we are there for you every step of the way. And I think that really highlights it. I've got loads more student testimonials. It's great. And as Claire said, we got fantastic national student survey scores from our students. We got 100% in some areas. It was really, really good. So proud of the team, and that is our students, how they feel about us, which is great. And we're #1 in the country for that as well. So that's really good. So I'll hand back to Claire, I think, before I over talk, because I'm very good at that in this area, because I'm really passionate about it. And you'll see a lot of me when you come to the course, just to let you know. You'll see quite a bit of me. Thank you.
Yeah, Jess supports our students in lots of ways. I think she mentioned the careers event. So all final years have a careers event put on for you so that you really give you that opportunity to network before you're out there in the real world, and help you prepare for professional life. And Jess does a lot of stuff in the background in terms of talking to students, helping them sort of work out problems and signposting them to support mechanisms. And you help. You don't run student societies, but you help
set them up, and give everyone the tools to be able to run. Yes.
Yeah.
And I do CVs and covering letters and preparing for interviews as well for anyone that wants help with that.
Lovely. Yes, it's fantastic to have someone who's just solely there as an engagement officer to support our students. So Kathryn did mention earlier, I'll just leave this here for a second on the screen. So you should be able to scan that with your phone, and that should take you to the UCAS website. You can apply through UCAS. And when you go on UCAS, it always flashes up lots of deadlines at you, and currently it says the 29th of January, but we don't close. The majority of our applications come in before then, but you can apply afterwards. And we always go into clearing. It's very rare we don't go into clearing, because there's lots of little gems out there that are the future fantastic veterinary nurses that are going to take this profession forward, and we don't want to miss any. So we will look at applications all through the year, and we interview all through the year, so you don't have to wait for a big interview day. As Kathryn said, you get a link, you get some information sent to you, you book on, you get the questions. It's all sort of quite informal and supportive, because at undergraduate level you shouldn't feel terrified about going to university or going through an interview. So do scan the QR code or just put into Google and UCAS Veterinary Nursing College Animal Welfare, and you'll find us. In terms of fees, I appreciate the government might have just upped the fees for next year, but currently the fees are £9,250 for home students. I think it is important to think about all the benefits that come with that, because it doesn't all go in the lecturer's pocket, sadly. But you have access to a lot of resources through the university, software. Jess gave us that testimonial from a student who'd had a recent diagnosis of autism. The university will help you through accessing the disabled students allowance. They'll help with software, getting you extra time and assessments, use of laptops, and a huge range of student services that are available, from sort of health and well-being right through to free printing in the library, and access to a subject-specific librarian. So there's sort of a huge amount of benefits. There's the social side of things as well. The student union organise loads of social events, so it's the opportunity to sort of meet new people and network see lots of different things.
Yeah, and you also have an academic advisor, which is your personal tutor. That is your personal tutor that will help you throughout your program. So you always have the same one where possible, so that they know you, you know them, and you make this plan and they set actions and they keep you on track throughout your program, essentially. So you've always got someone you can go to for support if you need it, or just for questions, or even just for a chat. I have some students who can chat to me. It's great. And that's what we really sort of excel at here, which is my sort of big belief. I think it's really good. So sorry, Claire, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jess. I think that brings us to a close actually in terms of sort of what we've got to say to you. So it'll be interesting to hear if you've got any questions for us.
So we've got one question at the moment, and I think we sort of answered it throughout, but we'll just do it again. So if anyone else has any questions, please write them in the Q&A bit or in the chat, and I'll answer them as we go through. So if do you stay in the same placement throughout the program? How do we find one? So I think we sort of mentioned that you can move placements, and we've got a dedicated placement officer that will help you find a placement. You obviously will need to interview, do a CV, do a covering letter still, potentially. And when you go in, you'll need to show your passion, how much you love vet nursing, or you wanting to be in this particular practice. But we do offer that support. So I'll just ask Claire and Kathryn to add anything I might have missed for that bit.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier on, I suppose the perks of the blended learning approach and how we do it is that you do have the opportunity to move around into placements. We obviously need to find a placement that is a training practice so that the standards are up to par, and that you have a clinical coach within the practice who will support you. So they're usually a head nurse or a senior nurse that would be overseeing everything that you do in the practice, and they're kind of your mentor in there. But yeah, we find the placement for you, as we were saying, so it takes the load off you of trying to go out and find practices and make contact with them. So it makes the whole process a lot more streamlined. And, you know, Lisa, who's involved in that, would be contacting you prior to ever going out into placements. So you're kind of prepared, you know where you're going, you know what to expect. So it's a kind of a seamless operation, really. From my point of view, I remember when I was trying to find practice myself, it was the students that had to find it. So it was a lot of responsibility on you then to try and find somewhere good. So yeah, it takes the whole stress out of that anyway, from my opinion.
Yes, I mean, Lisa is talking to our first years at the moment, and they're actually not going out until April, but she's already talking to them. And she'll find out, you know, where do you feel most comfortable? She'll also bear in mind your first years, so you're not going to get thrown in the deep end. But, you know, are you more comfortable in a bigger hospital, a smaller place? Do you want a home placement? Do you want to stay in university? And we aim to never have you traveling more than an hour, however you travel. That's our aim, unless you're happy to commute further, which some people are, but that's our aim. So I think the majority of our students do stay in the same practice, because once they've gelled with the team, they're a bit reluctant to leave.
They're comfortable, yeah.
So thank you, guys. And then the next question would be, where do Leeds students live? So we don't have any dedicated accommodation around the Leeds Centre, because we're based in one of the, you know, there's a lot of student accommodation in Leeds because of Leeds University. And we do have like links, I believe, on the web page to help, which will help you locate some of those accommodations that are available, but we don't have any set accommodation at the Leeds campus due to us being in quite a student city. It's quite big. There's lots of accommodation opportunities. Have I missed anything there, guys, or is that, do you got anything else to add?
No,
I don't think so. Yeah,
fine.
we have support available, don't we, for students who need help trying to find or source. So yeah, there's dedicated people that can help then with that.
And I think, as Jess said, there's never a problem, because of Leeds is a university city. There's never a problem finding accommodation. And Huntingdon, we actually have some of our own accommodation, and we have a person who's in charge of that. So, yeah, nobody's ever been sort of in a sleeping bag in the doorway at Huntingdon. We've always managed to find accommodation. Some of it's very close and some of it's a bit further away, but it's exactly the same at most campuses, same at London as well.
And then the next question is, are there any online campus tours, specifically Leeds campus?
Online?
Online, so I think virtual tours.
There is,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
I can find the link there if you want, Claire.
Oh, thank you, Kathryn. Yeah, we can put that in the chat, can't we?
And then the next one is, what equipment is required for first years?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. One thing I always say is don't buy any books, because you're going to get your core text and you keep your core text books for life. Having said that, some people like books and want to buy them, so that's fine, but you don't need to. You do need to consider sort of extra costs, and that is a very good question. So we recommend you buy 2 sets of uniform. And we send you closer to the time of starting some links, and I always try and have the cheaper suppliers on there, the way you get the best value. So you might need to spend maybe £80 to £100 on uniforms, and there's a separate enrolment for the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons to be enrolled as a student veterinary nurse, and to enrol with vet skill as well, which is sort of several £100s. It's on their website.
Thank you. And for students coming from Scotland, would the on-campus days be spaced out during the week, or would they be days in a row, asking for commuting reasons?
We try to do it 3 days in a row, because we appreciate not all students live in accommodation and some commute. If you're really far away, then you might, certainly at some times of the year, you might want to consider accommodation, exams and things. Because actually most students don't want exams several days in a row, for example. But we do try. Sometimes we're a bit limited with timetabling, but we do try.
And then I only have 1 BTEC Applied Science, which is equivalent to 1 A-level and 2 other A-levels. Can I still do this course?
If they add up to 112 UCAS tariff points, the quick answer is yes. If they don't, then it will be worth you contacting either Kathryn or myself. We can put email addresses in the chat on here, can't we? And then we can set up a video call and just go through exactly sort of what qualifications you have, how old you are will have an influence as well, in terms of, are you a mature student, and also any experience you have will be taken into consideration as well. But the sort of straightforward answer is it needs to add up to 112 UCAS tariff points. Okay. But it's worth saying we do take a very holistic approach to our recruitment onto the programme. So, it's not as straightforward as you don't have the grade, you can't come, but we need to sort of discuss what other experiences you might have.
Perfect. Okay. And then we've just got, I just wanted to ask, how similar is the level 3 diploma, as I only have the GCSE, so wouldn't be able to do the university degree. Can you still be a veterinary nurse from a level 3 diploma with your Derby College base? I can answer the level 3 diploma bit, but I'm not sure about Derby, because whether we've got a Derby, is that satellite centre maybe?
You may well have a satellite centre.
Yeah.
I can't access anything at the moment because I'm still screen sharing, sorry.
No, that's okay.
But we do have satellite centres all over the UK, so much so I've lost track.
Yeah.
But the quick answer here is whether you do a level 3 diploma or you do the degree, you can still become a registered veterinary nurse. Roles are just as good. It's just a different route. You're still going to be a qualified, competent, registered veterinary nurse, and there is no difference in terms of your skill set. In fact, if there's lots of advantages of each route, it really does depend on you as an individual. If you're more practical based and you want into one college day and the rest in practice, so on the job, that could be more for you. If you're really into theory and you're really wanting to get that advanced level, with theory behind your practical, and as we discussed earlier about different routes once you've graduated, like in terms of being a head nurse or practice manager or going into research, the degree might be more for you. But as you said, you only have the GCSEs. That's absolutely fine. You can definitely go into the diploma route. You do need to be employed in practice. We've got lots of information on our website. If someone just wants to put the link into the chat for me, straight to the diploma, so you can have a look. You can also give us a call. We will happily talk you through the diploma routes that might be available to you. We do have an unemployed route now, as well as an employed route for the level 3 diploma, just as well. So you don't always have to have be employed in practice. And I think that's an amazing thing that we've just done as well, but they're all valid routes completely. And I just think that's really important. So thank you for asking that question. I think that's really good. Does anyone else want to add anything? And we'll just need to look at the Derby College base, I think. Thank you for putting that into the chat. The link to the diploma course info is just in the chat for you as well.
I think just to add that actually you're not, even if you decide to do the diploma, you're not completely closing the door to higher education, because we offer a top-up program where nurses, registered veterinary nurses who have qualified via the diploma route can top up to BSc Honours. So, if that's the right thing for you now, go with that, and later on you can top up to Honours level if that's what you want to do.
And I suppose some courses you can do as well, if you did the diploma, will take into consideration your experience as well. So like if you've been in practice for a long time, they'll take that into consideration as you may be doing a postgrad. So, there's options out there as well if you felt like the diploma route was for you. And later on down the line, then, go further.
Perfect. Okay, and then our last question, I think there could be more after we've done this one, but that's the last one for the moment. For students from Belgium, please can you advise the grades needed for the CEFS bit? So if you guys have got any advice on that bit for me.
Let me have a little look. I have a spreadsheet for international qualifications. Oh, hang on. Where are we? Let's have a look. So I don't know if I can answer it off the top of my head, but I would say it's definitely worth sending me an email.
Yeah, I've just put your
what
email.
You've got.
Yeah, I put your email into the chat, so that can, if you want to follow up with that with Claire, that might be useful.
Yeah, I need to look at my spreadsheet. I don't know off by heart. There's a lot of different countries on the spreadsheet, but we certainly do have a lot of international students, and I'm happy to sort of have a look. If you email me, have a look at what you have, and then we can set up a video call to talk through it, because sometimes it might just be you need to do an English language qualification, but Middlesex have occupational English tests now that you can take, so there's lots of different
ways around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't have any more questions, and I can't see anything in the chat, so I think unless anyone else has any questions, we will wrap up. So thank you for coming, everyone. I think it's really nice to see you all. Thank you for spending some of your evening with us.
Hopefully it was helpful for you guys to answer a few more questions, and I've just put myself and Claire's email into the chat as well. So if you think of anything else after this, send us an email and we can answer, and then hopefully see you at interview if you haven't applied already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what I tend to do is once you've emailed, I'll set up a video call so that we don't have tons of emails going back and forth, but just a little bit of initial information is really useful, and then we'll set up a call with you to go through any information and guidance that you might need.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. It's really nice to have you all here. Thank you.